Alright, it is time for the top 3 of 2021. And my, bronze game of this year is one that is probably going to be on a lot of people's top 1. But this is, of course, a game that came out very late into the year and is the latest from a developer who certainly knows how to break many walls in terms of its conversation. So without further ado, number 3 of 2021 is the deck building survival horror meta world existential crisis of Inscryption. I don't know if Daniel Mullins has reached the same level of name recognition as some other notable indie developers like Jeff Vogue, Emmett McMillan, in terms of having a very specific niche that they've carved out in the indie space. And for him, he has kind of developed his own style of 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th wall breaking in terms of his games. His first major release, Pony Island, is one that's still talked about in terms of survival horror or just surprise horror in the space. But while his games have certainly earned a fan base, they've never really broken, I think, into the mainstream zeitgeist. Until now with Inscryption. And Inscryption, depending upon where you're coming from and what you're looking for, is either a fascinating breakdown in terms of conventional storytelling and gameplay, or a game that pulled the rug right from out from under you and was disappointing in that regard. But the fact that this is one of the few times, I think, from Daniel that the storytelling and the gameplay, I think, got the closest to meshing. And being such a unique spin on this design gets into the top 3 for me. Now, as of the time of this recording, there are actual plans for doing what a lot of people wanted, and that was turning the whole horror cabin vibe of the first part of this game into its own standalone endless mode in terms of exploring more of that mechanic. But the base concept of Inscryption is really fantastic. A puzzle, escape room, horror deck building roguelike. And that alone, I think, needs to be explored more by other developers. Now, of course, we can't talk about the entire game without spoiling the twists, and I don't want to do that in this video. If you want to see more of my thoughts on that, you'll find a link to the actual review down below, and that is going to be the back half of that, spoiler heavy. But this is a great example of a game where the gameplay and the aesthetics and just the general tone are all meshing together. There's something just very interesting about you playing yourself, playing this game, and just dealing with the mysterious game master. Now, the brilliance of Inscryption, and just like his other games, is that it's all about breaking conventions. This is not a roguelike or a deck building roguelike in the same vein as Slay the Spire or Monster Train, any of the other ones that we've played. This is a game with the explicit instruction or explicit style that you want to break the rules. The game breaks its own rules, and you need to break those rules as well in order to have a chance of succeeding. And for that first act, it does very much feel like a series of ahas as you break the game and figure out some combination that just dominates everything. And that is one of the best things you want out of deck building roguelikes, that exploration of the rules and mechanics and how you subvert them. So what stops it from being higher up on the list? Like I said yesterday, we're at that point where it's not a case of a game being bad, it's just that other games are doing their own thing at a higher level. And Inscryption does, I think, fall into that place. if I had any serious problems with it, is that I wanted the game to really explore more of its systems fully. And again, I can't talk about what that means in this video without spoiling it. But given, again, the fact that there are DLC and I think, some very experimental things coming down the line, that issue may not be as big of a deal in the coming months. And I'm sure there's going to be more story and meta discussions around it as time goes on. But if you are a fan of deck builders and looking for one that definitely goes against the normal conventions, then check out Inscryption. So with that, tomorrow we're getting into the silver place for my best of list. Do all the liking and subscribing. Check out our Discord and Patreon link down below. Come back for daily discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we simply are on science of games. Until tomorrow, everybody, take care.